It's
Okay,
okay. Thank you, Anya.
good. Thank you very much. When I was first invited by Rob to be part of this fantastic event, I felt naturally very flattered. I thought, wow, I'm an inspiring woman, and I think that would make anyone feel proud. But my next thought was a bit of a reality check. I realized that inspiring women of ELT means it's not just about me, but about giving inspiration to other women in the profession. And it's the women who dominate the profession. So I'm really happy to be part of the project which recognizes the voice of women. I thought very long and very hard about what I would like to talk about in my 10 minutes. And there were so many things that I wanted to share with you, and it was so difficult to choose. But in the end, it was the word inspiring which gave me my inspiration. I realized that the word actually sounds like a combination of two words, inspire and ring, like in a boxing ring. So I decided to speak about the battles which are currently fought in ELT. ELT is going through massive sociological and cultural changes, with some things no longer what they used to be, or at least in transition to what we would like them to be. And the changes are happening thanks to the people who had the courage to speak up against what they consider unacceptable in the profession, and then all the others who have supported the changes and have spread the word. Now, the first two battles which I would like to talk about are especially close to my heart as that of a female non-native speaker of English. And by the way, I believe very strongly that the terms native speaker or non-native speaker are simply completely inadequate in today's world. But I would like to talk about that in a moment. I think it's very easy to guess what two issues I would like to speak about. And the first one is battle against gender bias in ELT. We all know that ELT is a profession dominated by women. Yet traditionally, most of the managers in ELT have been male. And if you look closely at conference programs, you'll see also that most of the plenary speakers, and sometimes most of the speakers in a whole conference, have been male as well. Now, the picture which you can see on the screen now very clearly illustrates this point. You can see me there in a panel at a fairly recent ELT conference. I'm the only woman on the panel, plus the moderator of the whole discussion was male as well. So the ratio was 4:1. Now, this is an issue which luckily is receiving a lot of attention these days, and there are a number of fantastic initiatives which aim at redressing the gender imbalance. And the perfect example is the Fair List, an initiative which has been mentioned a couple of times already during this event, and an initiative which promotes and recognizes gender balance at UK-based events. Another interesting initiative is, again, an initiative which has already been mentioned, and it's a Facebook group, Women in ELT. And the group advertises itself in the following way, and here I'm quoting, "Women in ELT can network, share resources, discuss anything that relates to being a woman in ELT, disagree, agree, agree to disagree, and get stuff done." And getting stuff done is what women do so well. The second battle, which is so close to my heart. I have actually borrowed the expression native factor from Sylvana Richardson and her now famous 2015 IATEFL plenary, in which she debunked two still very widely held myths or beliefs. The first is a myth that native speaker teachers are the best. And the second myth is that it's the clients who create a demand for native speaker teachers. It's my very strong belief that as an industry, we are actually sadly responsible ourselves for creating this artificial and highly damaging division into native speakers and non-native speakers, but also for insisting that it's a relevant division, even if it's practically impossible to say or to define who or what a native speaker is. And I'm actually the best example for that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Polish. I was born and raised in Poland. I've never lived in an English-speaking country, yet people think I'm from the UK because of the way I speak English. And actually, usually people place me in Kent. Now, does that make me a native speaker or a non-native speaker? Now, if we look at numbers, it's pretty shocking that even though about 80% of teachers in the world are non-native speakers, up to almost 90% of jobs advertised are jobs for native speakers. I have experienced discrimination throughout my career in ELT. And discrimination is sometimes very subtle and sometimes it's very blunt. A long time ago, I was refused promotion on the grounds that I was a non-native speaker and, worse luck, a woman. But I've also recently, I have been told to my face that as a female non-native speaker, I would make a less attractive presenter than a male native speaker. So I think it's very easy to understand why I get so excited about initiatives such as TEFL Equity Advocates, or another initiative, which is a much more recent initiative, EVE. Now, again, this is an initiative which has been mentioned already during this event. And in fact, this event has received a green EVE. Now, EVE stands for Equal Voices in ELT, and it's an organization which has been created to recognize both gender and highly proficient speaker parity or balance. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to this expression, highly proficient speaker. What they have done at EVE is really remarkable. They are no longer talking about native speakers or non-native speakers. They have decided to use a completely different concept, that of a highly proficient speaker, a concept which no longer carries the discriminatory message with it, which recognizes facts and not bias. ELT is not immune from other types of unacceptable behavior or behaviors. But finally, questions are being raised about harassment, including sexual harassment and bullying in ELT. ELT2 is a very recent initiative by Verinder Unlu, who deserves a big round of applause for the courage to bring these issues into the public debate. Now, another issue that Verinder is fighting very hard to bring into the public debate is racial prejudice in ELT. We do have ample evidence that racism in ELT is widespread, but finally, the issue has been brought up and the debate is starting. It's starting late, but it's starting. Now, what you can see on the screen is a fragment of an article from EL Digital Gazette, which presents shocking examples and very recent examples of racially motivated discrimination and hatred within ELT in different parts of the world. And finally, my own ELT battle. For years, I've been listening to teachers complaining about not being paid properly and not being treated as professionals. And I know exactly what this means because I've been confronted myself with this, you're just a teacher kind of attitude. Now, in this case, a lot is down to people's stereotypical perceptions of what teachers do and what it is that they need to know in order to do their jobs well. And in case of foreign language teachers, the stereotype is that you just need to speak the language to be able to teach it. Now, I believe that as an industry, we are again, sadly, doing a lot to strengthen these pathetic stereotypes by accepting that a 4-week course, even if it's fundamentally a very good course, can be a qualification to teach a foreign language. Teaching is an extremely complex and difficult job to do. And I think you will all agree with that. Let's not undermine the profession ourselves by pretending that lack of insight is a good starting point into the profession. Let me be absolutely clear. I'm not criticizing the courses themselves, and I'm certainly not criticizing thousands of teachers who are doing a fantastic job, even if their entry into the profession has been a 4-week course. What I am saying is that until we recognize ourselves that a profession requires prolonged training or often long and intensive academic preparation, our claims to being a profession will remain largely empty claims. And with that, happy International Women's Day to everybody, and thank you very much. I think I probably finished before time, yeah? Haven't I?
Right on time.
Right on time. Okay, good.
Thank you so much. That was, wow. That was great.